I am so delighted, so excited. I can't contain the joy that I'm feeling today because I was thinking, should I continue doing my podcast or pause it? And then what I have earned from doing 100 podcasts so far has really evolved me as a person. I have learned so much because there are beautiful guests here who come and share, and then they really are so beautifully opened about their own life that it can't be any less than a great learning. And a very special person, Gautam Nima. You start my 101 podcast today. Yippee! It is such
What an honor.
what
What
an
an
honor
honor.
for me as well. So thank you for coming back to this show. I'm so excited to have you. For people who are hearing us, Gautam Nima is a beautiful person more than anything else. And I will actually leave it to Gautam Nima now to introduce himself, and I will ask
Wow.
him, how are you feeling today on 101 episode on Discover Your Second Act podcast with your friend Archie?
uh, Hello, friend Archie.
Yes.
My face is hurting a bit out of the excitement and the happiness. Really, I just want to begin by congratulating you, Archana ji. I mean, this is 101. What an amazing achievement. Fantastic. I mean, I can only imagine the kind of work and commitment, perseverance, persistence it takes to get to this landmark. And yes, like engaging with 100 people, I was just wanted to start with congratulating you, Archana ji. And I remember in our last podcast, I was wondering that, here you are, interviewing all these lovely people and sharing life stories and very moving stories. Some of them I've been able to see. And I was thinking, wait, who's doing this for Archana? Like, when do we get to hear her on this podcast? So I
Wow.
just very spontaneously threw it out to you. And I was pleased to find that you were very game for it. You're like, oh, yes, let's do it. So here we are following that up. Um, and here we are on 101 episode of this second act podcast. So about me, I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I'm an educator. I am teaching self-awareness, self-development, self-knowing through movement work, through arts, through performing arts, music, voice. And I teach in kindergarten school. I train teachers in pedagogy. I'm very interested in researching pedagogy and new ways of learning. And I believe that arts has a big role in creativity as a.
Sorry, sorry.
It's okay. And I'm working in some colleges, teaching students there, and bringing this more conversations around more self-awareness, creativity, sensitivity through the arts, through movement. So that's what I also do. Besides that, yes, I love cooking at home. I live in Goa for the last almost 7 years now. I've been in Goa, and that's what I do mostly. Yes, being in Goa, blessed to be here every single day. And this is where I met you 2 years ago. Yes.
It was last year, by the way. It's not so far gone. It was last April that we
Oh,
met.
really? Oh my God.
Yes, exactly in
Oh,
April last
okay.
year.
Only a year ago. Only a year ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
But thank you for this
So,
introduction, Gautam. And the more that I hear what you do is the more that I feel that I'm in the right space of also similar work, because
hmm,
everybody needs self-awareness and self-improvisation, and that's what second act is all about, working on oneself constantly to be a better version of us, because
hmm.
there's only one life and that's what we are trying to achieve, right? So it's an honor to be on the other side. I cannot thank you enough for doing this, and I'm excited that I'm here in the spot today And I hope that I can create value, on the other side today. So yeah, just shoot on, go on.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you for putting yourself in that spot, like you said. But I do believe that listening to you a little bit about your journey, first of all, I'm very curious about your journey. So out of that curiosity, I am here interviewing you. And second of all, whatever I heard from you and from my student Palak, and you told me about her, I thought about this whole thing around second act and the whole concept and the philosophy and this beautiful initiative. And I thought that it's certainly of value to hear the story of the making of second act and the person behind it. So that is why I am here, and I'm happy to open this up into a conversation that I am pretty sure it'll be a lovely conversation. So, Archana ji, I would say, I mean, to start off with, can you can you tell me something about, do you remember a moment? Was it a moment or was it a process? Was it a journey? How you got to this whole um, making of this, coming up with this idea around second act? Can you share a little bit on that? I'm curious.
Well, I promise you that I will be really transparent and authentic on the show. And I don't want to hold on to anything because I don't know what can resonate with somebody who's hearing me on the other side today on this whole making of second act. So thank you for asking this question. And to be honest, when I was having a really good life in my corporate world, there was nothing like a second act that I ever experienced. And it's the truth.
Mm,
I was always wanting to do better in whatever was given to me in my all the roles that I played. And I did escalate, in my previous organizations naturally because maybe I was doing some good work. But that was it. It was work and it was home and it was Archana who was working for an organization and being a good mother and a wife. And that's it. And I think not deliberately and not intentionally did I work on my second act. It was nothing. It was a good life, and there was nothing coming in my way. And my dropping of
mm,
my corporate job was very impulsive. I came back from a silence program, and then the next day I did resign after 9 days. And that was the March of
mm,
2020. And March of 2020, everything shut down after 15 days of my resignation, and hell broke because a very successful corporate person suddenly felt, oh my goodness, what did I do? Because here companies were telling you to go, but here I was who was giving up my position just like that. And for the next 7, 8 months, I think the roller coaster ride that I went through, at that time, I cursed the world. I cursed, my spiritual guru because of whom I had gone for the silence meditation. And I said, why the hell am I in this position? I experienced Archana, who believed that she had complete balance and complete joy from within, breaking down. And that's when I said that I was not even aware of these feelings. I was not even aware that there was something that I would experience like this if things don't go my way. And I was standing at a pedestal where I thought I did not know anything when I came out of the corporate world because I was just doing very process driven work. I did not
mm,
have any innate talent or anything that was out of the box. I was very, very in the box kind of a person who did exactly the right things, but did not do anything out of it. And then I started to read a lot of books after 25 years of my marriage and having children and, bearing them and making sure that they had, good life. I had not read a book in 25 years, of all
mm,
through my marriage. And then reading a lot, seeing a lot of content of what people were doing, understanding what I'm going through. And
Mm.
what can actually kick my day out? I mean, in the sense of like, what can make me happy now, you know? And I thought that a person like me who had everything, I was such a privileged person who didn't have to think of money, who didn't have to think of making ends meet, was crumbling like what? I mean, it was like, I was standing in front of the mirror, but there were two different Archanas standing right in front of me. And I said, oh my God, why did I not see this other Archana all this while? What's going on here? And this whole experience of falling down and not being able to being myself, trying to still pretend to be happy at home. My children could see me because both my kids had come back after the COVID break because their colleges went online. So both were at home, and I'm still trying to be that strong, joyful mother I was all this time, but I just could not pretend anymore. So then one day my husband was sitting by my side, and he had designed a book called The Second Act. And it had, so he works in an entertainment industry, so those had stories of all the celebrities and their second acts, nothing to do with what I do now, but something like besides acting what they were doing. And so he just picked up the book and he said, Archana, I think you should be ready for your second act. And literally that was my turning point, where I said, yes, this is exactly what I needed. And I think from that day to today, that was November of 2020 to today, I think every morning when I get up, I just ask myself, what's your second act going to be today? So I just think second act is the place to be yourself, but yet to evolve, to break your barriers and learn something new, to have a new perspective, a new sunshine, a new thought, something that sparkles your day by being completely aware of your own self, what you're going through, so that you can make better of it. So I think whatever's happened, it's a beautiful journey, a tough one, but a very beautiful journey. So this is the whole story, if I put it right.
My God, my God, that is um wow. That's so much. That's so
Yeah.
much. And what I am receiving is, you know, the clarity, the flow, the the spontaneity with which you are speaking. It's I'm touched by that, and I see a lot of courage in there. I see a lot of um, struggle to break away from the norm, to kind of question where am I? What am I doing? You said out of the box. What is that? And then living a life of you were sounds like you were doing the right thing. You know, you did it right thing. You did the right things, and you did well in whatever you did, and you were appreciated in what you were doing, and you were following the rules and acing the system,
Yes.
right? Am I right when I say that?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and and yet and yet here you were, after 25 years of this work, at a juncture where you were feeling something's missing. I've been a good wife, I've been a good mother, I've been a good worker, I'm at the top of what I do. And to make that step from there on, I would imagine it takes a lot of courage, a lot of honesty towards the self, and and a lot of support from your family. So I was really touched to hear that your husband, Mr. Gautam, he showed you that book, and from there on sparked an inspiration. And he said, how sweet to know, how nice to know that he is supportive. Also, can you speak a little bit about that? That I was talking to you earlier about, I do feel that, there's always the support systems that we have around us, whether we acknowledge them or not. And some of us really need to really know how to use them as resources. Some of us struggle to tap into those resources. And it seems to me that your husband is quite a resource here of support. And would you agree to that? And is there something you'd like to share on that? And how did your family, how did your children, um, yeah, how did they support you on this?
Yeah, so I think Gautam has been that person in my life who is so humble himself that there is a learning from him every single day. So today only he's written a LinkedIn article saying a trainee. So he has this badge out of his office saying trainee CEO. And he always calls himself work in progress. So he says, if you are a CEO of a company, you always need to be a trainee so that your learning curve doesn't end. And I think
Uh-huh.
he's been really instrumental in showing me the way. He's a very creative person, so he, from designing the logo of the company to literally sitting with me to make me think what can I really do in second act that can create this whole platform which is impactful, uh, and just helping me literally initially with everything, to set me on the ground to say, okay, I'm holding your hand, don't worry about it. And then my two beautiful children, my daughter, who really designed the programs that I was bringing to the corporate world. She keeps sending me articles. She keeps sending me lots of views, a lot of Instagram reels to say, hey, mom, you can do this and about this. And my son, who's always at my back to just say, okay, I think you need to monetize, you need to think about how to scale up. And like, just giving me the way to say, okay, get more clarity in what you're doing. So I think the whole family is so connected. And they saw me struggle, but at the same time, they were just standing by my side to say, hey, I will do this for you. I will put this for you together. So it was a really great, I mean, so far, everything is because of them, I would say. And every day we just sit down. I keep asking them, what can I do? Is it making sense? So I think we are not giving up on each other, but we have such a strong support. And I'm so blessed to have that. And of course, the less is said about Gautam, and he's a beautiful person in my life.
How nice. How nice to hear this. For a young man like me, I've been married a few years, 6 years, a little over 6 years, and I love children. My wife and I both, Pushpanjali and I both love children. We work with children and in
Yes.
education, and we look forward to having a beautiful family soon, someday. And I think for people like me, it's been very important to find references of healthy families, of healthy couples, of couples that really, support each other, are there for each other, and children who've been very supportive, and like a unit. Because if that unit is healthy and honest and supportive of each other, really anything is possible. Any new challenge, any new idea, a second act can be possible. Well, at least it's a lot easier. At least a lot easier. There could be people. There always have been people who are, doing things out of the odds. Like they feel alone, and yet they still achieve. But I always wonder about the cost price of that kind of experience, because time is so limited, energy is so limited, and it always is so much more beautiful if you get to share that journey with your loved ones, and they see you in your difficult times, they see you in your prime times, your achievements, and they're there to celebrate you and as well to hold you. And this is so nice to hear that Gautam ji has been there to right beside you, and saying that I'm here. You jump off. I'm here for that. How nice to hear
I
that.
think
And
we
so
have
thank you
also,
for sharing that.
yeah, thank you. But I just want to say, but we have also redefined a relationship in these last 2.5 years, where,
Hmm.
he's also seen me as a person who was at a certain position, doing well, very stable, and then suddenly somebody who was feeling very nervous and very disoriented. And so I think it also helped us to come closer because this was another phase of our life that we were seeing together. It wasn't before like that. He's the one who's always vulnerable and he's saying, I would not be here in this position forever and think about whatever. But, I think till it hits the road, it's like that. Till the tire hits the road, you don't know what's going to happen. So I think this was something new that we experienced together. So it only made it stronger. And yeah, it was test of times that even after 25 years of marriage, does it really hold any good or not? So I think that was an
Mm.
important lesson that came out of it. And that was that was good.
Wow. Oh, thank you for sharing that because yes, it's not always roses. It's not always colorful, and there are and again to hear you say that, you said redefine. We had to redefine our relationship. We
Yes.
had to really understand some things like, the vulnerable one now becomes a supporter, and the stable and achieving one now becomes the vulnerable. And can we handle that dynamic? Are we equipped? Can we grow and cultivate more skills where we can hold that space for that kind of transformation and metamorphosis? And it seems that you and Gautam and your family are still holding that space, which is so fragile and yet so beautiful at the same time. Uh, so how nice to hear, and it's nice that you're acknowledging that, for Gautam and your children. Um, Really nice to hear that.
Thank you.
I was thinking, when I hear about people who are doing very well in the system, following the system really well, and they are climbing the ladder in a very progressive way, and they're achievers. They have been doing things right by the book, and they're very systematic, organized, and in the right place at the right time, perhaps, and hard workers, very disciplined, I guess, to get there. I wonder how that, is shaped, how a person is shaped to be like that. And so I'm wondering, from your childhood, what do you remember that, or who was it that helped you uh, become this kind of person, this, very very good at what you do, in your corporate work. And so that good student, that good worker, good employee, achiever, following the system, doing really well. Do you know how what might have contributed to shaping that in you? Any any particular person or an event?
So I think my memories go back to my father wanting to always have this feeling of being successful because you got great marks. And I was one person who always let him down. I never achieved great marks. And for me, I was not that person who could really impress him. I could impress him
Mm,
by the person I was, but at the same time, he was very disappointed when I did not score well.
mm,
And I think that made me do everything else with the intent of doing it right. Because somewhere I did not really had great school life, I would say, or college life. I mean, it was okay. I was very average. For me, it was fine.
mm-hmm.
But I think the family holds you, in their own scope of things that, okay, they feel more proud if you're coming first in class always, or like, you were always doing great. So that's how
Yeah.
I was brought up. So, in the sense that I always thought that I had to excel in something or do something right, be very sincere in what I do, because somewhere I was very average. And I think that was something that made me at least, try my best. And my biggest achievement was when I could get into Xavier's. It was an advertising and marketing course that I actually applied for. And it was a very tough interview. It wasn't easy for me, but I did it all by myself. I did not, my postgrad was because I got there, with my right intention, I guess. And so that was one first confidence that I could build for my own self at that time.
Mm,
And when I finished the course, of course, my parents were very proud that, I could do it. So I think somewhere I just wanted to do it right, but because marks was always the criteria that came in my way. So maybe I was
right.
the person who was trying to ignore and wanted people to ignore that part of me so that this was something that I was doing right, at least. So I think coming to your question, maybe that was the intention.
Ah,
I don't know. You're asking me, so I'm thinking loud. That's
yeah,
nothing. Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm hearing that yes, marks were important for your father. Exams, marks. That was somehow how he measured maybe success in certain ways or achievement. And
Yeah.
yet, for you, an event that when you came to college time, you made your own choice as a young adult. You made your own choice. You chose your subject, and you did really well in it. And so that became like a moment where you felt acknowledged. Maybe you felt seen. Would you say that by your father?
Yeah, I mean, yes, he was very proud of the fact that I could get into by my own efforts and by, it was tough to get into Xavier's in Mumbai. And the way that I stayed for the next 2 years, all by myself, and of course that was a learning process too. So I think that really helped me to, you know, maybe be the person in the next couple of years to define my work with full integrity, with full intention of doing well. And I think that
Mm,
probably helped me. Yeah.
how nice. I'm sensing that because this was like a choice that you made for yourself, so it was something that out of your interest, your own volition, and so discipline and integrity was not an issue then, because it was something you really wanted to do. You made that choice. You got yourself into that college, and like you said, getting in there wasn't easy. So you obviously worked hard to get in there. So working hard and discipline, and this is not something that was difficult perhaps for you, but it was just a matter of towards what, to what
Yeah,
means, to
maybe.
what end.
Yes.
And uh, oh, interesting. So, and then advertising is what you learned. Advertising and mass comm, advertising. That's the field that you went towards. Interesting. And did you find yourself working soon after that, after college, and then just being in that in a job work world, professional world, corporate world?
Yeah, so soon after
Is that
I
after?
graduate, like I did my postgrad there. So soon after I finished my postgrad in Mumbai, I got into an organization called Mudra. It's a big advertising agency in Mumbai. But then, of course,
Mhm.
from home, I could not take any more money to stay in Bombay. And Bombay wasn't very cheap. And I was staying in the south of Bombay because my college was there. So I had to
Oh,
wind up and come back because I could not really pay even the rent for Bombay. So as soon as I came back, I joined this agency called Saatchi and Saatchi in Delhi, and that's where Gautam was my boss. So we met at the
oh.
agency. Yes, I was reporting into him, and then we worked together for a couple of months, less than a year, where we decided to get married. And so that's when Gautam told me that, I have been in the industry for 7 years. Two people in advertising is very hard because we will not be able to then look after home and kids maybe in the future.
Mm,
You can still
right.
change your trajectory and take a more easier job because advertising is a full-time 24 by 7, at least in those days. So that's when
Yes.
I applied to an agency which was doing direct marketing for Lufthansa, and that's how Lufthansa happened to me. So it was completely switch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's how.
Uh-huh. How interesting. It seems like there's been like this flow in your life when you've moved from one phase to the other, and you have met, I don't know how to word it, but like the fact that you met Gautam there in your workspace, and the fact that now how many years into marriage are you now?
27.
27. Wow.
27.
Yes. So that's a long ways. And here you are now in your second act.
Yeah.
Uh, and still together, redefining relationship, redefining what it means to support each other. And I know, listening to you, about second act and how you have conceived it, and I know for you, it's important to um, to to spread some kind of well, not spread maybe, but to to shine some light towards hope and
Yeah.
towards some kind of positivity and authenticity, and that there's some value in that, and there's so I'm wondering, where does that come from? Where does that come from in you, where you want to reach out and help and share and connect with people like-minded, like-hearted, like soul people. And where do you think that comes from you? Like, I wonder if you have that traced.
Yeah, I think I have been observing my own self for the first time in the last 2.5 years, like I was telling you. For the first time, I actually saw an Archana outside an Archana. And what I understood about her was that because I never saw out of my comfort zone, I was very comfortable in the space that I was. I never experienced anything like a defeat or like, falling down.
Mm,
And when I did actually, and then I was forced to get up. And when I started to design my programs, I actually thought what would bring value in second act. And I started to design programs such as I Celebrate Myself for women, where I thought that it's so important to bring in recognition and worth for your own self, which we just don't do. And that's why I was a victim of
mm,
it. I never celebrated myself. I was just processed driven person. I was just playing roles. I did not
mhm,
have my own self worth in my own eyes. I always thought probably I was one less because of, maybe not doing academically well in school. I don't know from where it comes. But there is a stream
mm,
of thought that engulfs you. And if somebody like me, who was so privileged, who didn't have to care about it, to be honest, was feeling so low when the low hit in my life, I don't know what was happening to people who really didn't have it. This kind of
mm,
comfort or, the kind of security that I had. So I thought
mm,
that, programs such as this will only help. In second act, I'm only designing things which are there in us. So when I started to design things, I saw that I could write, I could create a full workshop, I could network, I could reach out to people, I could get so much love as well. Then I opened my world and I asked for help, people did help. When I just did not bring any ego in front, people think, at least find me very authentic. So I'm just saying these are the
mm,
values that I thought, oh my God, I carried all my life, but never experienced it. So I had it in me, just that I did not put it out there or did not even think, they deserve any attention. So I think the second act platform is just about making you aware so that you don't have to fall to experience it. You experience it while
mm,
understanding yourself, working on yourself constantly, and creating a better version, a higher possibility for yourself, a higher second act for yourself. So I think it is a platform where, thanks to also the podcast of also hearing so many stories, I get so encouraged to say, oh my God, if this person could do it this way, I'm sure people who are hearing it can relate to it as well, because everybody has a story to tell. Just that sometimes we don't even have an expression. And second act is also creating that expression to speak, to have conversations, to sit down and create a better world for ourselves. So this is the only
mm,
intention. And whatever lateral I'm doing, whether it is my corporate workshops, whether it is retreats, whether it is my social work through Pedalon, which is helping marginalized societies to be a better version of them. I think in every platform I see, oh my God, the potential is limitless. Just that somebody has to sometimes handhold you and show you the way. And probably I'm just trying to do that.
how nice. How nice to hear that. And again, I will have to say the ease and the flow with which you speak about your intentions, it's so nice to receive that, Archana ji, and I am touched by your heart, your intentions, and your efforts, and um, I certainly feel hope for our society, our people, our species. I really do think I really value spaces like this, Second Act, retreats, and all the work that you're doing, helping marginalized people find a voice, find a platform for understanding deeper, working deeper, and is that is I really experienced that in my life as well, where receiving a platform to speak your story, to voice your truth, and have people witness that for you non-judgmentally, just like we're witnessing, we're watching you, we're here, we see you, you know. I think that's such a gift to have and to receive, and you are certainly offering that gift. So thank you so much for what you do. I have to ask you, where do you think, where do you see this going in the future? And whatever that is, I would like, what are the wildest or the most ideal ideas? I would like you to just pour it all out. I want to hear.
Gautam, another realization which I have and I've observed is that I'm not thinking of the future anymore. I am
Uh-huh.
just doing what I'm doing now. And my intention is to make today possible. And that's exactly what it is. So I don't know where it's going to go. I know that with my full force, with my full manifestation to touch people's lives, to make this a happier world, I'm just going to do that. And I don't know where this will go. So I don't have an answer for future. I don't know. I
Oh,
only
that is, yeah.
So
Really,
I
really.
just feel that I'm here to do my work. I might be an instrument for somebody's change of life. I'm here to hold somebody's hand maybe. And even if I do one person a day, I think that's enough. I don't know if
Oh,
that's very futuristic and very motivating, but I think I'm feeling very joyful
well,
inside, and that's it.
yes, and that's coming across. And as long as you find joy in what you do, I believe, I believe it will manifest into beautiful colors. Certainly. I do want to come back onto that. You know, you said celebrate yourself. There came a point where you realize that, hey, I'm not celebrating myself. I'm not seeing myself. And it seems that that was maybe a turning point for you, where you had this self. You said you saw a mirror and you saw two parts of you, and like, hey, am I seeing myself?
Yeah.
Am I pausing to breathe and say, well done, Archana, like, yeah, you've done so well. And is that something like celebrating yourself, and now are you bringing that into retreats? And um, how has that been? Like, how did you go about doing that? What was the practice, and what is it now? And yeah, could
So
you
when
speak a little on that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for asking me that because when I was designing my programs, I was still that Archana of yester times where I was still not confident if this will do well or not, whether I'm putting the right content or not, whether my content will be relatable or not. So I think that showed. I'm not saying that didn't
Mhm.
show. I'm sure the audience who is seeing you in that platform can see it, that you yourself probably are a little bit jerky right now, but you're talking about it. But I
Mm.
did not give up. I said, this is my learning platform too. If I'm not
Oh,
able to do it, I'm speaking about it. That's what we need to do. So I think sometimes for facilitators or trainers or people who are speaking, we think they've done it all. And I want to just say that I'm not that person. I am learning in the process myself. But I believe in this process. I believe that this is what creates a fuller version of us. And I'm experiencing it now after 2.5, 3 years, where I'm confident of what I'm speaking. But it wasn't an easy journey. I was making mistakes. I was falling. I was pulled up by my friends to say, your content is not meaty enough, whatever. And I used to feel very low at that time to say, oh my goodness, I'm not doing it right. I will fail. But I showed up every day. I read more. I believed in myself more. I wrote what I really believed in. And somewhere people who are relating to me come up now to say, hey, we really like what you're saying or doing. I really feel a part of me in you. And I think I've reached somewhere. I'm not saying that I've been really successful in it, but I feel I'm just real. I'm not faking it. I'm not trying to portray to be somebody when I'm not. So I am just a real
Mm,
person. I'm not the best right now, but I know I believe in these things, and I hope that that's coming across, because we do need to celebrate, and we do need to have our own self-worth. We need to bring in self-care. And I think once we start believing in our own potential and like keep breaking our own comfort zones to discover
mm,
something that we haven't, I think sky's the limit. I think that I'm
mm.
just experiencing a bigger purpose of creating it. And I think this purpose was not defined when I started off this journey. This purpose is getting defined every single day from, what I do. So again, when, this question of purpose comes into, what's your purpose? Purpose is a very fluid, yet it's like an ocean which is open. It might not be a very defined like sentence that today my purpose is to create a second act platform world over, but like every single day, what's my purpose to make it happen? So I think I'm focusing more on that everyday process rather than thinking anything beyond it right now.
Wonderful, wonderful. And mm, you had shared something earlier that I wanted to touch upon, and right now you have kind of given the other perspective to it as well. And I find that this is a good time to bring that up. Earlier, you said about, how we have to keep growing and we have to keep improving ourselves, and so there I noticed something in me happened because I feel like sometimes we're caught up, we're so deeply hardwired to, keep achieving, keep achieving, that even self-work, self-growth, it also becomes like another agenda. And before you know it, it's an obsession or it's never enough. And and so I had questions around that when you said that. And now when I hear you say that, I'm being real as well. I'm here. I'm making mistakes. I'm being real. This is my learning platform. So at the same time, I sense that you are also seeing yourself as you are and giving yourself the permission to be that, whatever you are. And in doing so, I I see you and I feel like, oh, I have the permission to be myself too. And that's all right, and we are a work in progress. Coming back to what Gautam says, work in progress, trainee, CEO. So bringing that in again, wise words from a wise man. And so thank you for putting that picture as a whole now. For me, it was a little left suspended, and now I find that you have brought that into a fuller picture so beautifully. Um, Thank you, Archana ji. This is so nice to hear. I mean, I could go on and keep talking to you as we usually do when we meet.
Yes.
But you said you had some rapid fire, some questions that
Yeah.
you would like rapid fire, and it's all, oh, of course, rapid fire rounds, exciting. So I don't have any questions prepared, but let's play it out. Rapid fire. Okay, rapid fire. Archana ji, can you please tell me three things that you're most grateful about?
I'm grateful about the privilege that I'm born with, and also
Mm,
in the part of my marriage, both privileges.
mhm.
I'm very, very grateful for the family that I have. And I'm extremely grateful that I'm able to discover my second act.
How nice. One thing about you that you really cherish and value.
I am a very open and a warm-hearted person, and I cherish that in me, that I'm approachable, and I really give love genuinely.
How nice. What grounds you?
People around me, especially my husband.
Mm, how nice. How nice. Okay, your favorite food.
Actually, I don't have a favorite food, to be honest. And I would just tell you that whenever my kids are ordering food, they ask me, "So what do you want to eat?" And I just tell them whatever you guys are ordering. And I've always been questioned on that. See, you're not giving yourself enough attention to say what do you like. So to be honest,
Ah,
I don't have a favorite food, but now I've
mm,
started to say, okay, I ask my favorite sentence is ask your stomach, and that literally is for asking your gut. But I just do ask my stomach sometimes, what do you feel like eating? And I think I just love avocado. I just love anything which is more fresh and green. I think I would go for that.
mm. Um, when it comes to I mean your podcast and your work as a podcaster here, um, do you prefer being the writer and the content creator, or do you prefer being in front of the camera, or is it both?
Actually, I've just started to enjoy the journey of being in front.
Mm,
If you will see my content 2.5 years ago when I started, I used to just rehearse it like over 20 times what I need to say, what I need to do. Now somebody says, "Hey, speak on this." I'm just ready. I mean, like, somebody just has to say, "Hey, camera's on." So I would say I'm
good
very
flow.
comfortable in front of the camera, and I love that space as well.
How nice.
But
How
I'm
nice.
also writing my content. I'm also doing the creative, and I'm also designing everything. So I'm just behind the scenes and ahead of the scenes, but I enjoy this more. This authenticity of having a real conversation or just giving my how I feel to bringing in what Second Act does, it's coming very naturally to me.
Lovely. Um, One thing you appreciate most about your daughter, Palak.
Oh, she's my lifeline. I
Praise
think
the
my
Lord.
life would have been so incomplete without her. I can only say that she's a fairy in my fairy tale.
So, one thing you really value in your son.
His very pure heart. I think
Mm,
he's one person who's extremely compassionate and a
mm.
very, very giving person, very open.
How nice. How nice. And I know you said so much about Gautam, your husband, but I'd like to hear one more thing, just that one thing that's so unique to him that you absolutely deeply cherish and value.
With Gautam, one thing is tough, but I will still say that he's so grounded, and that's what I love about him. That nothing has touched him. He is sitting on a position, a leadership position for so long, but I think he just always values so much that he's got in life, and he's so grateful for everything that I
Mm,
just feel that I mean, there's so much that I see in that person who's not let the what should I say the success, so to say, touched him.
mm. How beautiful.
So it's not touched him at
Wonderful.
all. So I think he's very grounded. So that's what I love about him.
So nice to hear that. Just for fun, I know you've holidayed, you wrote about your holidays in the various places, and I'm wondering if there's that one space that really stayed with you, one
Yeah,
holiday.
I think Santorini in Greece, it really stayed with me. And if given a chance, I'll go there every now and then. It's so pure. The water is so pure. The sky is so amazing. It's unreal. It's like a canvas that somebody paints in front of you. The breeze is so beautiful. I think the white, the pristine, the way that it's spread at the city, the architecture of the city, or little town. I would say it's not even a city. I think
Hmm.
oh my goodness, that is the most beautiful place on earth that I have gone so far, and I want to go back again. I've already been there 3 times, but it's never enough.
Wonderful. You did very well, as usual. just flowing it out, so flowy, so easeful, lovely. And that was the first time I ever hosted a rapid fire or even a podcast. So thank you for this opportunity, Archana ji. How do you feel now? Do we want to take it further from here? Is there something that you'd like to particularly touch upon? How do you feel about this?
So thank you. Firstly, Gautam, you share the same name as my husband, so you are special. uh, and thank you for doing this with me. I think I spoke a lot, but for the first time, I actually said a lot of things which probably have not shared. So I hope
Mm,
that people can also see the authenticity and the real life of so many people whom we think they are successful just because they are on social media portraying something else. So I do spread positivity, but of course we have all vulnerable situations in life where we don't feel our best. But at the same
right.
time, we can try. So I'm trying every day to feel better and to make people feel better. And that's what I want to do through this second act platform, which is for bringing in different people who can share so much that they have learned from their one life. So,
Right.
so I just want to create this as a place where people just log in and say, "Hey, you know what? This brought me a ray of hope," like you said. And I hope that second act brings them a ray of hope and many hopes, in fact. So thank you again for being there with me in this journey to start off a very important phase of, my season 3. And
Yes.
yeah, so
Woohoo! Congratulations.
thank you
101.
so much. And I look forward to catching up with you in real as well very, very soon. Uh,
Yes.
so with
Thank you.
hands.
All the best. Take
Thank
care. Bye bye.
you. Bye.